In this video, we're going to break down everything we learnt from the Star Wars Shatterpoint roadmap from MiniStravaganza 2024. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Yes, welcome to, I think this is our first MiniStravaganza breakdown. For Shatterpoint, we've obviously done a lot on MCP, but we are now getting into Shatterpoint. And in this video, we are just going to go through the roadmap. We will be doing a separate video on the key operations, key missions, whatever it's called. But joining me, as ever, to talk about some good soliders is Mr. Quinn Duggan. Quinn, how the hell are you doing, sir?
Well, I mean, I've heard they always follow orders.
So
that's point number one out of the way.
Good soliders follow orders, indeed, indeed. Let's start with our thoughts on the Shatterpoint roadmap, because we got to see a lot of stuff, but we didn't get to see a lot of complete stuff.
Yeah, which is always the issue with Shatterpoint, like, spoilers, right?
Yeah, because there's so many components. Yeah, just seeing even just seeing the front of a card doesn't really give you much of an idea, because you don't know what point cost they are, you don't know how much force they bring, and then obviously the verbiage on the card is really only one part of it. Obviously the actual combat tree and everything else, stance card, is really, I think, really determines how good a character is, or at least, you know, goes into it. And yeah, so we've got some characters and some units and models that we've got the full thing for, I believe 2, and then quite a few where we've just seen little bits of them, and we are going to have to wait. But overall, Quinn, were you happy with what we got?
For the most part, yeah, I was relatively happy. A couple things missing from my wish list, but some things that I didn't expect.
No goddamn armorer. No goddamn armorer. That's what I'm saying.
Where's my goddamn cybernetic tarantula man, AMG?
Yeah, that is fair. That is absolutely fair. But yeah, let's jump in then, Quinn, and let's take a look at all of the slides that they went through. We'll give you our thoughts and feelings on it, and some of which we've already played a game either with or against, Quinn, haven't we? So yeah, let's jump into it. Okay, Quinn, so starting out, first thing, Quinn, is we have had a error corrected. So well done, AMG, on working out how soldiers is spent, or spelt even. See, we all make mistakes, Quinn.
Whoa. We.
But yeah, the good soldiers follow orders. We did see a tease for this, I believe, at Adepticon.
Yeah.
But this is going to be the primary unit version of, I want to say Crosshair, but technically CT9904, right? He's in the Empire. He doesn't get a name.
As AMG have started calling him Crosshairs.
Crosshairs, yes. I suppose we do now have Crosshairs in the game, but yeah, CT9904 Elite Squad Leader. This is a unit that we've managed to play a game with, Quinn, haven't we? I played him, I think, about 3 hours after them announcing it, so we did manage to get a game in. He's going to bring 8 squad points with him, and he only brings 2 force with him, which is not a lot, to say the least. So CT9904, which I believe is the same alias as Crosshair, so meaning you can't run both this version and the other version of Crosshair in the same strike team, which makes sense because, I mean, I was going to say there's only ever one of one thing, but I mean, they're clones. There's fucking hundreds and thousands of them, but...
Yeah, but he's a genetic bad eye.
Yeah, there's only one version of this clone, so let's say that. 9 stamina, 3 durability, which feels now like 893 is kind of like the baseline. But
That's a human right there, right?
that's a human, yeah. But usually 3 force, Quinn, for the leaders. So let's see, because I'm already seeing lots of things he wants to be spending that force on that he's got. So starting out then, Quinn, he's got 1 active ability, move to position. It's going to cost 1 force. 1 character in this unit may dash or climb. Then choose an allied character within 3. The chosen character may dash. Interesting way around that he makes the move first and then you measure. A lot of these other ones that generally when they're tactics, it's like you choose somebody within 3, then you do the movement. Yeah, I mean, we'll see the rest of his card and work out whether or not that should have been a tactic, but it feels like a very tactic-y type thing. But yeah, reactive ability, reflector discs. It's going to cost 1. When a character in this unit makes a ranged attack, before it chooses a target, this unit may use this ability. Choose an allied character within 4 and line of sight. During this attack, measure the range and line of sight from the chosen allied character. Now, a couple of things with this. First of all, obviously, costs a force. But secondly, it is a reactive ability during the attack step, which, as we know with the ruling from AMG, prohibits you from using pretty much any other reactive ability throughout the entire duration of that action itself. Which isn't great, I think, to say the least. It's pretty cool. I like. We spoke about this, didn't we? Like, how are they going to show this in the game, right? You know, we all saw it in the Bad Batch, and I think they've done a pretty good job of. Let's put you full screen there. I think they've done a pretty good job of showing it with this one. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, costing a force is well, with the 2 force primary, it's a big ask, but just having that extra bit of reach from, going, I'm just going to shoot you from halfway across the board because I feel like it, can be pretty good. It very much limits the amount of times that Crosshair is going to be a dead draw, I feel. Because even if he's on the wrong side of the board from where all the action's happening, he can probably get to a place where he can, to quote the old Crosshair, find the shot.
Yeah. I think, Quinn, and we'll obviously need some clarification on this, but I think there'll be a couple of steps in this. So first of all, because he's making a ranged attack, Crosshair still can't be engaged, right, to make that attack. Yep. But I think it's not going to matter if the allied character you choose is engaged or not, because they're not the one making the attack. I believe that's how it will work. Do you have any... Are you seeing it any differently, or... Lean right in, Quinn.
I don't see anything that would prohibit that, and I think it makes sense, right? Like, the reason you can't shoot whilst you're in melee is because you physically can't get the gun up and take the shot, whereas it's the blaster bolt bouncing off of the person, right? Like, exactly. It's not the same kind of physical intervention.
I do think that's how it will work. Yeah, it's got 1 in 8 expendable distraction when a character in this unit makes a ranged attack as part of a combat action. If the defender is engaged with 1 or more allied characters in units that are not wounded, it may add 3 dice to its attack roll. If it does, one of those engaged allied units suffer 2 damage. This is exactly the same on Aura Sing. I believe it's the same thing.
Yeah, except, Crosshair isn't terrible.
I'm going to say arguably just on a much better character. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's a way of... I like that it's innate, so it doesn't mess with the reflector discs, which, makes sense. But, 3 extra dice, as we'll see from his cards, is pretty nice. They've kind of given him that sharpshooter 2 focus, but by doing it in a slightly different way that feels more Empire, with them taking damage rather than rather than anything else. So I do like that. And then lastly, his identity, genetically bred Deadeye. When a character in the
that's not the name of it.
what did I call it before?
You called it like genetically dead bad eye or
I think I
something?
did, yeah. Genetically bad Deadeye, bred Deadeye, and whatever I called it before. When a character in this unit wounds a primary or secondary with a ranged attack as part of a combat action, after the effect is resolved, refresh to Force. So, okay, he's got the Force refresh. Is what is effectively, or up to, I would say, 6 Force per order deck, because you get his 2 initially, then you can activate him, do a wound, refresh 2, and then if you Shatterpoint him, you can do the same again. But let's call it effectively 4. Is that better than the 3?
I mean, he's no Cad Bane in terms of Force Refresh, is he?
No, he's
Because
really
Cad
not.
Bane extends to potentially your entire strike team if you pick all bounty hunters.
Yeah. And it
yeah,
is worth.
this
It is just
very
this
limited.
character, isn't it? So it is only when he does this.
And let's be honest, like, he's probably going to take down whatever he goes after with that 10 damage in one of his trees. But I don't know, it feels a little bit, eggs in one basket for my liking.
Yeah, it really does. And then the other part of it is, additionally, when a character in this unit makes a range attack before dice are rolled, it may remove 1 or more conditions from the defending unit. Add 1 to the attack roll for each removed condition. This syncs up really nicely with something like a strain or a pin in particular. Because you can, as long as you're not using reflector discs, okay, you can use coordinated fire. You can put because you choose the ordering, you can put a condition on them and then take that condition off and give yourself an extra die, which I think is quite nice.
No, not an extra die, an extra hit.
Sorry, an extra hit.
Which seems like an Empire thing, and I'm not a fan of that being an Empire thing, because I don't think AMG have valued that as highly as they should have.
Yeah, especially when you start stacking that with a certain Gideon, it starts to get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now, again, it only affects him, so, it is isolated to this one character. And then he's a clone trooper, because he is still a clone trooper. And then Galactic Empire, which obviously makes sense from his tags. Overall, Quinn, his card is interesting. Some different sort of mechanics that are in there, which are nice. But let's have a look at his stance cards, because obviously that is, the character card is but one half of what he does. So first of all, we've got target eliminated. So this is going to be range 5. He's range 5 across the board. He's going to be 8-5 at range, and he's going to be 5-4 in melee. He's maxing out at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage with the pin if you just go down the pure damage route. But he does also have access to a shove, but not until 4, and a reposition, but not until 5. So yeah, interesting. I think his expertise is pretty good on this side. On both, really. I think it's both absolutely fine. I think that advanced combat training is perfectly acceptable, but 1 expertise for a hit and a crit, or strike and a crit.
They are called strikes in this, yeah, but no one ever calls them strikes because just no.
But yeah, strike and a crit I think is fine. This is arguably his more offensive side, but with that you do lose quite a bit on the defensive expertise. He does have crit mitigation, but it is only down to a hit. And he's only rolling 5 dice in both situations, or 4 dice in melee on this one. So overall, Quinn, what are your thoughts on Target Eliminator? Do you think it's going to be his default?
I mean, if you want something dead, this is how you get it dead, right? It probably is going to be his default, mainly just from the standpoint of if you're playing this version of Crosshair correctly, he's not going to be near enough to an enemy for them to kill him. Therefore, his defensive expertise and his defensive dice shouldn't matter, is the general principle, right?
Yeah, unless you play him against another Crosshair and we end up swapping complete halves of the board that we are on, which did happen in the game that we played. But yeah, I agree, Quinn. I think this would be his default against most things, but obviously on his other side, the bad play, you do have earlier access to those shoves. So if that is what you are going for, or he's been force pushed into a position or shoved kind of more into the sort of mix of things, then it may be that bad play is what you want to move to. Bad play is going to lose a little bit on his offensive side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it looks like he's maxing out at 7, irrespective of which way he goes. Access to a pin, which is interesting. Slightly worse, I would argue. Well, no, not argue, but slightly worse on the expertise tree. Identical in hand-to-hand combat, but then, as we've said, the modified commando armor is much better, much better. I mean, this is on 4. That's like
this
Jedi
is what,
territory.
Bad Batch Crosshair has.
Yeah,
It's like
standard.
it's identical defensively. Like,
yeah. Overall, Quinn, we played a game with him. He murdered things real good, but
he also got murdered real good.
Went down real quick. Now, that was one game. Dice be dice, and I think if I remember rightly, you did like one-shot him with your Crosshair.
Which isn't the most unreasonable thing in the world,
Not
given
at all,
how
no.
good secondary Crosshair is. I mean, secondary Crosshair compared to this Crosshair loses 1 damage by comparison, and that's on this one's killy side.
Yeah.
But also, one of Crosshair's damage is guaranteed off the tactic if you're not engaged. And also, his expertise is arguably better for that kind of primary and secondary hunting because it's all crits.
Yeah. I think we often say, don't we? We've got 2... I think we said it in the MCP video. I can't remember who... We might have back when we got to the Inhumans or something or whatever, and we said, well, you're always going to compare... No, it was Weapon X. You're always going to compare when you've got 2 characters with the same name and you can only ever pick one of them. Now, in Shatterpoint, it's slightly different in that as long as you're not playing Premier, you can only take one of them, whereas in MCP, you can take multiple but only field one, but you still have to compare them side by side. I think because of the way Shatterpoint is built and the way that you build your squads and your strike teams and, the tags and the eras and everything else, it's a little bit different because whilst they're the same character, there's never a reason why you would ever want to play them in this. If you could, why you would want to, because they're almost at 2 opposite ends of, squad building. They're 2 completely separate factions, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think with that in mind, the thing you have to consider is he worth the place of another Empire primary? We've got 2 in the game currently, I believe. No, 3 in the game currently that can also take this 8-cost place. We've got Grand Inquisitor, who exists.
I'm taking 9904 over Grand Inquisitor every day of the week.
Grand Inquisitor. Then you get to Gideon. Gideon is the polar opposite of what this Crosshair is. He is not killy at all. He is all about support and messing with your opponent. And that force tax on reserving can be really punishing for certain players, especially Kenobi players. Because you go, well, you want to reserve to get patience off anyway. Now that's coming at a premium of what is likely a third of your force pool, which is pretty rough. Then you get to things like Iden, and it's just not really a competition, is it?
I mean, we've already spoke about, haven't we, how Iden is the creme de la creme at the moment. I think where you're going to see him played is because somebody likes him, and as we always say, absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I do think this character, this unit can do a good job on the battlefield, but I think where he really comes into his own is you may see him in premiers quite a lot.
I can see that, yeah.
I think he could be quite good in that. in that format. But yeah, I really like him. He's fun. He is fun to play, and you know, there's that fun competitive balance, isn't there? And often, I don't know about you, Quinn, but often competitive often isn't as fun. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it can be competitive and fun, for at least one of the players, anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance because it feels like if you lean more towards the fun side on a character, it actually ends up boosting the enjoyment of both players. Whereas
Yeah.
if you end up leaning too hard on the competitive side, it's really fun for the person like using them, but it actually has a diminishing effect on the opponent potentially, right?
Well, and arguably, is it even that fun sometimes?
Yeah,
Like,
if you're just like, oh, I'm getting a 7 hits through on every single attack because I've got Gideon and like a Vader and a Crosshair and whatever else you have, and it's like, yeah, I'm basically just not bothering to roll dice this game because I know
yeah.
what I've got.
Without rolling dice, I've already got 7 hits, so let's
Yeah.
just say that. Yeah, but I think overall, I like him. I think he's fun. He's a nice addition. I like the model. I do like the model. I think it's really cool, but I think
It's kind of an evolution of the Bad Batch one, right? He's gone from kneeling down to standing up.
to standing up, yeah, who knows? He might be flying in one of the other ones. Who knows?
It's like you know that like piece of art that's like the evolution of man that has like they're slowly becoming more and more upright as they go along. The evolution of Crosshair.
The evolution of Crosshair. Yeah, I like it. I like it. And it probably only took about 5 years, right, from birth to this, because of because of how quickly they age. Cool. Let's move on then, Quinn, to a character that we don't get to see everything for, but is also part of the Good Soldiers Follow Orders, and that is going to be ES04 Firebrand. They teased this in the in the last panel I did, whatever it was, it might have been Adepticon, but this is going to be the secondary unit for this box, and as soon as we saw the flamethrower, we were like, oh, how are they going to represent that in the game? Because yeah, like, how do you do it? Because beam attacks are just crazy in this game. Like, is it, how do they do it? So let's jump in and let's take a look and see. So here's going to be a 4-point cost, which means this squad pack is going to follow the standard 8-4-4 sort of point scheme. 8-2, which is fine, for a secondary. 8-2's fine.
A little bit on the lower side, in my opinion, but all right.
A little bit on the lower side when you look and sort of see that he doesn't have any protection or anything like that. But yeah, he does have a tactic, Quim. Marching orders at the start of this unit's activation. Choose an allied Galactic Empire supporting character. The chosen character and one character in this unit may dash. So one from your support units and himself. I like this, Quinn, and I like it because there is no range restriction on this, and I always think they are just so much more versatile, especially as you get further into the game. So yeah, big fan of that. Prescribed Fire, Quinn. It's going to cost 1. Choose an objective within 3, and each character within 2 of that objective may dash. Then each unit within 2 of that objective suffers 2 damage and removes all its hunker tokens. So okay, this is how we represent the flamethrower, because we can't have a Age of Sigmar 40k flame template that comes out of this guy. It is all characters, so including your own, that do get to move. And all characters will suffer the damage. I quite like it. How well do you think it represents the flamethrower aspect, Quinn?
I think it's pretty cool as like a representation of that flamethrower. I know that when we were sort of speculating on what he might be, I was hoping for some kind of or almost MCP style ricochet, right? Like a flurry, where I mean, we have things like it in the game already. Like we have it on our IG-11 and I think Aura Sing, where you make a ranged combat attack and then you get to hit somebody next to them. I think if it had been like a range 2, like of the target kind of next to them thing, could have seen potentially however many dice he does normally, followed by like the 5 dice kind of splash effect of the flame. But this is an all right way to do it. I don't love the whole everybody gets to dash element of it. It just feels a bit like half the time it's just not going to do anything. I mean,
suppose,
getting people off a point is doing something, but depending on like
yeah, I was going to
where
say,
they end up,
I gather that's the thing, isn't it? Is, where they, where they end up, and let's not forget, you also then have things like the ISB agents who have the thing where if you disengage with them using a dash, they've got the Mandalorian thing, right, where you're going to take damage. So there's some synergy with other things. But I gather that's the thing, right? Is that it's a force to get everybody off a point so that you can get on it.
The one thing I'd like from it is if I'd have liked it to be away from the objective, because one, you get a bit more control over where people are going, but two, it feels a bit more thematic that they're running away from the flames,
scattering away from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Either away from the objective or away from him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because away from him, like, also adds an element of like, well, actually, I can't get into that good position now because I want to be out of 2, but I want to be
potentially
closer.
How terrain ends up. I can't end up outside of 2 of that, and that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Gives you a bit more like agency over where like things end up, but I mean, we've got what we've got.
We do indeed. Obscuring flames. Choose an allied, give them a hunker. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great until he gets wounded. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's probably rarely getting used once he's wounded.
No.
But early access, access to it. I think it's pretty nice. And then lastly, he's got a reactive ability. Can't stand the heat. While this unit is not wounded, when one or more characters in an enemy unit end a move action engaged with one or more characters in this unit may use this ability. The enemy unit gains disarm and strain, which is pretty darn good, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very anti-melee with that kind of rule on him, right? Once again, going to be harder to do once you get wounded because it isn't an innate, it is a reactive. But yeah, like, Anakin doesn't want to fight this guy. Let's put it that way.
No, not at all. Not at all. Because first of all, that disarm is going to significantly decrease the damage output.
It'll really neuter the attack.
Some characters, not all, but some. But generally those characters that want to get up in melee will have access to good melee expertise, right? So that's generally how that works. And then also, if they don't have access to a heal off the back of the attack they want to make, well, they're going to take 3 damage as well. So I think this and the prescribed fire sort of combined is a really good sort of interpretation of a flamethrower in combat. So I think they've done a pretty good job of representing that without actually having a sort of flame template. So yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job with it. Okay, Quinn, let's move on then to our second character, and this guy is a bit of a beast. This is the way squad pack. This is going to be your secondary unit, Paz Vizsla. Let's talk about the sculpt first of all, Quinn, because I love it. I think this is such a good sculpt. It's just that scene from The Mandalorian of him like staying behind going, I've got this, and just fending everybody off.
Like, he's planted his feet, he's standing his ground. This is his
yeah.
This is his land and he'll die for it.
This is my hill. You're not getting up here. 5 point cost, Quinn.
Yeah.
Which really, because obviously this is the way squad pack. This is the one where the armorer is the primary, and then we have this, and we do actually have some of the other cards as well. But 5's interesting. Let's see if he's worth those 5 squad points, Quinn. So 8-3. Now, anyone that's not a primary with 3, seems to have a special little ability on them, so we'll get to that in a moment. But yes, he also has the special little ability as well. But starting out, we are Mandalorians. It's going to be his tactic at the start of this unit's activation. Each allied Mandalorian unit within 4 may remove 1 damage or 1 condition from itself. Then each allied Mandalorian supporting character within 4 may jump.
That's right, Mandalore on crack.
Pretty darn good, right? Like, very, very good. The fact that they can choose as well, it's like, okay, I'm strained. I'm going to get rid of my condition before I jump. I've got a pin. I'm going to get rid of my condition before I jump. So even just the jump in this, I'd have gone, that's really good. The fact that it is a guaranteed jump, because anything that could stop you from either being able to physically do it or wanting to do it can be removed before you make the jump. And it's each Mandalorian that gets to do that, and then just the supporting units that get to jump.
So he does also heal himself, which, is nice.
It is nice. Yeah. So, not immune to conditions, but he can choose to get rid of the worst one.
Start your turn with a disarm? How about no?
How about no, indeed? Because they're just so annoying, aren't they? You rarely want to use an action to get rid of a condition unless you really, really have to, or unless you get to the end of your turn and go, well, I did everything I did in 1. I got all my triggers to get to where I want to be, and I don't need to use this whatever else. And you just go, cool, I'll just get rid of whatever it is, right? Expose or whatever it may be. So I do like that. I love this next one, Quim. I'll cover the rear. Costs 1. When an enemy character makes an attack targeting an allied character within 2, after the effect is resolved, this unit may use this ability. If this unit's active stance is heavy firepower, 1 character in this unit may jump and then make a 5 dice ranged attack targeting the attacking character. So yes, he does have 2 sides, so his stance card, and you do need to be in the heavy firepower one to be able to do this, because the other one doesn't have a ranged attack, so it just wouldn't work. I really like this, Quinn. I really like the fact that it really makes your opponent think about who they're going to target, because if they target the wrong person, they're going to get a clapback. And this guy, even with just 5 dice on that side...
as a spoiler, 1 expertise is 3 hits.
Pretty darn good. Yeah, pretty darn good. And I like the fact that he's getting access to that jump to be, let's not say guarantee being in a position to be able to make a range attack, but in 99% of situations is going to be able to make a ranged attack. I really like it. Really like it. More shooting equals more gooderer. And this guy gets to do more shooting. Excuse me, apologies. So yeah, thoughts on that one, Quinn?
Yeah, pretty good. As you said, it's going to lead to your opponent asking some questions about who they end up attacking, which is always nice. Because even if you don't get to trigger this ability throughout the course of the game, it will still have probably had an impact in terms of what got targeted when and where and all those sorts of things. If you do manage to get the clapback off, boy howdy, is that going to hurt?
I wanted to I just had something flow through my head there, Quinn, and it would cost a lot. I believe there is a wording on a certain egregious secondary character, Obi-Wan 2, where... Does it say the attack doesn't happen, or the attack ends?
Oh.
Is there a world where you stop the attack from actually going through, but then he still gets to clap back?
Please don't make this a thing. I already hate him enough.
I can't remember if it says the attack does not
rules. The attack ends, so technically the attack was made. Oh boy. mean, you're
Like, don't
spending 3 force.
Don't get me wrong, it's 3 force, okay, but that is hilarious.
It's something. Not
That
sure
is
hilarious is what I would say, but sure.
So yeah, just some janky stuff there. How viable is it? Who knows? Go. There are too many. This is the way. I mean, this is. We just spoke about that scene from The Mandalorian, Quinn, didn't we? This is the line. I did pick up on something.
This is the way, mate, not the line.
Yeah, I did pick up on something. Every Mandalorian has a "this is the way." They mentioned it in the panel. So all of them have apparently an ability or something on their card that is something, something, something. This is the way, and I do like that each one of them gets their own little line. Now I'm not sure if it's just this box or if it's the original core box characters as well.
The original core box, I don't think have any mention of this is the way, because this is the way is the whole like.
It's there.
It's the Children of the Watch thing,
Yeah,
not
it's the Children of the Watch.
Mandalorians as a whole.
Yeah, but I do still like that. When this unit becomes wounded by an enemy attack after the effect is resolved, this unit may use this ability. It costs 0, but effectively it will always cost at least 1. This unit gains 2 injured tokens, then it removes 1 wounded token, all damage, 1 condition, and Quinn, because we've seen this part before, and may make a 5 dice attack targeting the character that wounded it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what we've seen with Zeb, with an extra little take that with you on the way out of it.
Which, makes sense. You're jumping from not only a 4 to a 5, but a support to a secondary. Like, having that extra kicker on there definitely makes it feel more fitting for the station, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I really do like this. I really do like it. Again, it's not going to be something you're going to use all of the time, but in that clutch moment where you're like, yeah, I need him to make sure he stays on this point. He's staying on that point. So I do.
Or even just, turning around and going, I'm 1 momentum away from winning, and you're low.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Or, I can win my next turn if I don't lose this point, right? If you score this, then I can't win, but if I do this, then I've auto won, sort of thing. One thing I would have liked to have seen on this, and maybe it makes it too good, is it gives him the option to flip his stance card. Because there is potential here where you may not be able to actually make an attack because they're just too far away. Would that have made it too good, again, until we get some game time with them? Because whilst we've played with Crosshair, we've not managed to play with Paz yet because there's no legal list to play him in at the moment because you just can't fit him in anywhere. But yeah, I do like it. I do like it a lot. And then lastly, Quinn, he is a descendant of the great house Vizsla. While this unit's stance is fearless, characters in this unit have steadfast. Makes sense, right? He's not doing shooty things. He stood on his point. And let's be honest, that fearless side is still perfectly fine. If he punches you, he's going to hurt.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on it myself, but it's there.
It's there, yeah. And then a little kicker on him is, additionally, whilst this unit has 1 or more injured tokens, you cannot put him in reserve. Which, again, makes sense, because otherwise you could just keep him on this potential endless loop of stacking up wounded tokens and never actually being removed off the board. So yeah, that makes sense. He's Mandalorian, he's a mercenary, and he is a scoundrel. But let's take a look then, Quinn, at that fearless stance card. Obviously, no range, only 4 at range, but then 8/6 in melee. 8's a lot of dice to be rolling for a secondary. Maxing out at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still 9 damage, Quinn, with pretty decent expertise in melee. Personal combat shield. He's got some dice modification in there as well. crit to a hit on 1 or 2, and then if he gets 3 expertise, crit to a fail and a crit to a hit, which feels really good. But yeah, where you really want him is going to be in that heavy firepower stance, isn't it? 7-5 at range, 5-4 at melee, range 5 as well. Heavy Gatling Blaster, you already alluded to it, Quinn. 3 successes on 1 or 2 that are all hits, 2 crits and a hit on 3 to 4, and then just 3 crits if you get 5 expertise. Which, we don't know what the Armourer's leadership or identity is going to be yet. But if that's...
I mean, they did allude to it being very strong. And she's going to be a 9. Part of the reason why I think they were allowed to make... They allowed themselves to make her a 9 is because she's melee only, you'd presume.
Yeah.
I know there's one scene where she throws the hammer at someone, but, that's not a typical thing for her, I don't think.
She's not Thor, is she? Interestingly, Quinn, first Mandalorian we've seen that is not stronger together.
Yeah. To be honest, don't think he needs it.
I really don't think he needs it.
Also, he's not the first Mandalorian, because we have the Mandalorian.
Oh, of course, yes, yeah. Can still trigger it though, so he can still trigger it. I suppose technically Sabine doesn't have it, but it's just
she just has a different name.
Her own version of it, yeah. So he doesn't get to do it, but you can trigger it. Damage wise, Quinn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 again, but 3 shoves. He can dish out 3 conditions, so pin, expose, strain. I think
a little heal in there.
Got a little heal in there as well, yeah. So does a lot of stuff. I think he's going to be pretty good on the table once we get to see the rest of this box.
Yeah, I think for me, his viability is very much conditional on the rest of the box, simply because being a 5 cost and having only 8 stamina doesn't feel great for me. He's not the best defensively either. I know he's very consistently got 2 blocks on that 1 to 2 expertise in heavy firepower, but feels a little bit lacking in terms of dice for me,
Yeah, 5-4 is very low, isn't it?
Yeah.
On on this side, so yeah, time will tell. He doesn't have protection either. Of all the characters I thought would have had, the heavy Beskar armor, I thought that would have given him protection. Maybe he has steadfast when he's in fearless, but then he has protection when he's in heavy firepower.
I think that just gives you even more reason to never flip him out of
never
heavy firepower.
never leave.
The only times you're ever going into fearless most games, I'd say, is if you really need to hit something on a point that you're already if you're already in melee, that's when you're doing that flip. Otherwise, you're always just shooting someone with heavy firepower, I think.
And I don't know if you mentioned it, Quinn. I'll cover the rear is an allied, not another allied. And I've just realised that.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So it's a clapback if you attack him as well. And he's always within 2 of himself, so he'll always be able to do it, which is quite nice. Hang on a minute. No, you can't, because it's 2 reactives for the same trigger. Yeah. I was like, can you attack them twice? But yeah, it's 2 reactives to the same one. But yeah, I like him, Quinn. Again, the way that these work, it's so difficult because you never assess. It's always what do they do, and then how does the identity help them, or what else does somebody else have that can boost what they do? So without seeing the full box, it's difficult to say. But I think he's a nice, welcome addition to the Mandalorians, and I do like that they are getting fleshed out as an affiliation.
Still somewhat annoyed that he's the first Vizsla in the game.
Which Vizsla did you want, Quinn?
I wanted pre-Vizsla, the best Vizsla.
But you've got the other. You've got the Paz, not the pre.
He's the first guy we ever see with the Darksaber. He's a cool guy.
Okay, so the supporting units for these guys is going to offer This Is the Way are going to be the Covert Mandalorians, not the children, as I think it was Glyn thought they were for a long,
Yeah.
long time.
Which
What are they called? They're not younglings, are they? Foundlings.
foundlings, yeah.
Foundlings, yeah. So, Quinn, as you already alluded to, these are going to be a 4-point cost, meaning that the armourer is going to be a 9 squad point. A 9 squad point primary. But as you say, Quinn, being melee only is probably how they've balanced her. Because she is supposed to be pretty good, although I don't know if we can ever trust what AMG tell us in terms of what's pretty good, because Covert Mandalorians, Quinn, 7-2 seems like a pretty standard stat line for
But for a
Mandalorian support.
forecast, so this has got me thinking now, because between Paz and these guys, they both have one less stamina than I would have expected, right? I would have expected 9 on Paz, 8 on these guys,
Yep.
which to me says the armorer probably has some kind of protection aura.
Yeah, but these already have protection if they're in the order deck or reserve. You've got Bo-Katan who dishes out protection. Like,
Well, I was
I don't
thinking the
know.
armorer could just have Bo-Katan's thing, like just not even as part of the identity, just as a thing on the card.
That
Like,
drops Bo-Katan's
but Bo-Katan doesn't
viability.
work with these guys anyway.
No, but as in like a second squad number 1, squad number 2 sort of thing. But yeah, that'd be a shame if that was the case. Because also
Like, I feel like there's
protection.
going to be something to do with the armorer and these health pools being so low. Like,
Yeah,
they
maybe.
just they don't feel very Mandalorian in terms of their survivability at present.
And she is the armorer, right?
Exactly.
So that could make sense. But yeah, maybe she's got some of these battlefield tactics that we've seen being introduced into the
Uh,
game.
she
Who
doesn't
knows?
seem the type.
She doesn't seem the type. No, she is literally. We have arrived. Hammer.
Equally, Ewoks didn't seem the type either.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Jetpack, pretty standard. Mandalorian armaments, so they can have either sharpshooter or impact. I do like that, Quinn. Means they're a little bit more versatile than the other two
I
set of
like that
supporting
it's free to
Mandalorians.
begin with.
It's free to begin with. Yes, absolutely. Mandalorians stronger together, so that's going to be the thing that lets you then trigger to be able to actually use the sharpshooter or impact. And then our secrecy is survival. This is the way. While this unit's order card is in the order deck or in reserve, characters in this unit have protection. Yeah, I mean,
Not a lot to
again,
go on without a stance card, right?
yeah, and I'm going to say, Quinn, it's a little bit vanilla in terms of what I'm seeing on their card at the
Yeah.
moment. There's not a lot of flavour in there, is there? So we will have to wait and see in terms of
I
how
mean,
effective they are.
I'm gonna have to find a 3D print for that guy because I'm not putting that model on the table. Sorry, AMG. Like,
And doesn't the other one look like? Is it Bo-Katan or is it one of the other Mandalorian supporting units where it's like holding the blaster out sort of thing? And
yeah, Bo-Katan is doing that, but she doesn't have the other arm like doing the
oh,
input.
okay,
And
yeah,
also, my Bo-Katan doesn't look like that anyway. So
I know she doesn't. No, I know she doesn't.
yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Like, how are they going to? They did talk about bringing in the rocket pack thing. Like, be interesting to see how they bring that into it. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
derpy looking guy. Overall, Quinn, like, I'm not over enamored with either of these models. I'd have
I think the
liked.
female one looks really cool. Like, I'm pretty cool with that one. Just the guy who
Well,
looks like he shat himself.
I'd have
Like,
liked the female one to be a bit higher, like having a bit more height would have looked cool. And that's easy enough to do yourself. But
I
yeah.
mean, I view this more as like a landing pose than a taking off pose.
Oh, so you
Personally,
think she's just
I
landing
think
and
this is like
coming
the
into
slow
ground?
drift down to the ground kind of thing. And I think if you
Okay,
think of it in that light, I think it improves the sculpt.
fair enough. Fair enough. Now, obviously, the Mandalorians are up, or at least Paz Vizsla, up against some stiff competition with Sabine for that secondary spot. It's going to be interesting to see.
I mean, completely different cost, though, right?
Well, but we've seen it before where people will play a point down
Yeah,
because
but
they're just a
that's
better
Aura
unit.
Singh, though.
It's Aura Singh, it's ARF Troopers. I don't know. So yeah, again, I really want to see access to some early pushes on these guys on their combat tree would be good. Maybe even pushes on their expertise that then bypass that steadfast could be quite nice. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I have had a thought for the armorer.
Go ahead.
Because we love wild speculation on this channel. Even more than the next channel, I'd say.
Absolutely.
So, she's going to be a 9.
We know this is the case, yes.
You know, past precedent would indicate that that means she brings 2 4s.
Also correct.
What if... well, before I posit this, let me ask you a question. Of the core set Mandos, what's the biggest thing that holds them back later into the game?
Force. Because Mandalorian stronger together need you to spend a force to be able to...
Exactly.
It's free.
I think her thing might just be Mandalorians don't increase the cost of their abilities for each wounded token they've got. And then you can have her be that 2 force, and you just go, you know what? Yeah, Kaz is just going to do that, like, hit back every single time for 1?
I mean...
Kaz is going to stand up, like, do his 5 dice attack, and it's going to cost him nothing.
I mean, that would be very good.
It'd be very good, it'd be very strong, but equally, it's limited to only Mandalorians, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're bringing a 9 cost, 2 force primary who only has melee. Like, I feel like that's a reasonable cost to pay. I feel like that's almost in line with the kind of thing CAD does for bounty hunters, right?
What about if it's not, it never increases, but it reduces the cost by 1?
So then when they get on their second wound, it does stop. Yeah, I could see that as well.
But it does mean jetpack's free.
Oh, right. So you're thinking...
It reduces the cost by 1.
Oh. I feel like my one's a bit more reasonable after a little bit.
I think it's more reasonable. Or maybe she only brings 1 force.
Maybe. I mean...
Maybe she brings 1 force and it's reduced by 1. Who knows? We'll hopefully see her card soon because, again, it's so difficult to understand the full box without seeing every component to it. We don't need their Scum, Quinn. Character pack, SWP.
I mean, speak for yourself. I need their Scum.
Oh, I absolutely need their Scum. SWP 25. This is going to be the first of its kind. Well, because that's more of a terrain boxy type thing, the Obi-Wan Vader pack, but
whereas, a dual pack is different to a character pack.
Yeah, dual pack's
right?
Different to a character pack. So
because everything in the character pack is usable.
Yeah. Why does this differ? Well, this isn't going to be a pre-built squad. It's going to be a box of 4 secondaries. So we're going to get Boba Fett, we're going to get Dengar, we're going to get Bosk, and we are going to get...
Dengar, Bosk, Boba Fett, IG-88.
IG-88, there we go, the other IG unit. So they're all secondaries. Again, Quinn, we don't have access to their full card, so it's difficult to say.
Do you have the one other bit of information on this box in the slide?
I do not, no.
Well, I mean... Before we get into these two, I'll let everyone at home in on a little bit of information. Bosk is a 3 cost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which to me screams he's going to be very melee oriented, which is what
100%.
Bosk should be. He's going to have like a nominal ranged attack.
He is a very, very good shot. Like, he is a marksman, is Bosk. Like, he's really good.
But rip and tear.
But I mean, yeah. What it does mean is that I do like the fact that they are going to be... I'm hoping we have a 3 couple of 4s, and a 5. That's really what I'm hoping for in this box, to give us some real flexibility.
I mean, maybe IG-88 is the 5, because I don't think these two are necessarily quite cutting that standard, but we'll make our assessments as we get into them, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the models, Quinn. One of them I love. One of them I'm less enamoured with.
Yeah, I think the one you love isn't the one that you wanted to love, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. So I think the Dengar model is really nice. The artwork less so.
He's got like a weird metal-like gorget thing that just is out of nowhere.
It looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, but with a hood. Like, it's... Yeah.
Are you saying that Dengar is a hero in a half shell?
Hero in a half... I mean, does he not look like a hero in a half shell? Also, hero's a strong word.
Also, wait, does that mean that's Krang in the box?
It means it's Krang in the box, yes. It's just combination of all of them. With his smelly, sweaty thing on his head. Because that's canonical, isn't it? That it, like, underneath there is like all horrible and there.
Is that canon?
I think it is, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it's Legends. But the Django pose, I'm just completely...
Like, it's...
Hold, Quinn, you just absolutely broke up there.
Beep, boop.
Before you start talking, give me a second.
Oh, we need just a little vape pen. I can quit wherever I want.
Looks like you're drinking a whiskey out of that little crystal glass.
I know, right? It's fucking great, isn't it?
It does genuinely look like you've got a little whiskey on the go.
I mean, it's about the only spirit I can fucking drink, so it wouldn't be out of character.
Yeah. Let me jump back on it. Jango Fett's model, Quinn. Boba Fett's model, Quinn, I just don't like. And there's a reason why I don't like it. I've seen it before.
Well, no, you've seen a better version of it before.
Oh, I've seen a better version of it before.
Because he doesn't have a weird little pistol out.
Yeah, the Legion model is better. It's almost, with the exception of changing the weapon that's pointing, it's almost an identical pose. I would have just loved to have seen something different. Like, just do something different. Look at the pose in the artwork, right?
Yeah, that something kind of quick draw, you know.
Something like that, but not to be. I don't think it's... By the way, I don't think it's bad. I just think I've seen it before. Like, and I'm a bit bored of it. I don't know about you, Quinn.
It's not bad, but it's not good. And Boba Fett is a character deserving of a sculpt that is better than good. You know?
Well, this is the almost exact same pose as Star Wars Legion. It's almost the exact same pose as Imperial Assault, I believe. It's almost the exact same pose as the Star Wars miniatures game, the little die-cast one that came out before. It's like, just change him up a little bit, like
even if it had been like a combination of the sculpt we have here and the artwork, where he's firing like the main blaster, but maybe he's like jetpacking backwards.
Yeah, something like just something different. But hey ho, it is what it is. Boba Fett on contract. Tactic, we're running out of options at the start of this unit's activation. This is mental. One character in this unit may jump or make a 5 dice attack targeting an enemy primary unit. I like that. Straight out the bat, bang, bang, bang. I think it's pretty cool. And the fact that it is access to a secondary attack that is not range dependent in terms of it has to be ranged or melee.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to be within range of a primary, but because it's a tactic, it never goes up in cost. So I do like that a lot. Knee rockets costs 1. Choose 2 enemy units within 3. Just suffer damage. Like, okay.
I mean, it could be really nice to just turn around and go, "You're on your last legs. Off you pop."
Yeah.
Which, you know,
similar sort of play that that you're able to do with that you get with Crosshair, right? Where
Crosshair
you've
and
got
Del Mico, yeah.
yeah, you've got one unit, you've got a unit left on one health, and you're like, oh, do I really want to spend an action attacking them? Like, cool, bang bang, there you go. Whipcord launcher. Choose an enemy unit within 3. The unit gains pin and disarm. Can be good. Like, again, only costing 1 is quite nice. And then Dead or Alive is only reactive. When an enemy primary unit ends its activation, this unit may use this ability. One character in this unit may jump toward a character in enemy primary unit. That is such bad English because it's
England
a capital.
is AMG city.
Because it's a capital letter which insinuates it's a new sentence. There is no full stop toward a character in enemy primary unit. It should read
the enemy primary unit
towards a character in the enemy primary unit that ended its activation, basically. So yeah. We can decipher it for people, can't we, Quinn? We should almost.
We are the great translators of AMG's.
Duolingo haven't reached out yet, but I reckon we could set up a Duolingo-esque course for speaking AMG-ish and actually what it means in real English. Maybe that's a thing. I like it, Quinn.
I mean, it's Hunter's Enhanced Tracker, but better in a couple of ways. 1, it's a jump. 2, you always get to trigger it because it's not dependent on a move, it's dependent on the activation ending, which is guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then lastly, Quinn, he is a hired hand. And for me, this is what Payday should be always.
Yeah.
Innate, at the end of setup, choose one of the following. As you wish, you are Galactic Empire. He's worth a lot to me. You are Scoundrel. I love it. Really, really like it, Quinn. It means that, you can play him either in that mercenary scoundrel type lists, or you can play him under Galactic Empire. And for me, this is infinitely better than Payday. I think it just is. Yes, yeah. Payday can be,
it can be anything, but it's expensive and not very good units.
Well, and I also don't like it, from a thematic standpoint, it means that Dengar can be a rebel. And yes, I know that they did, the rebels did hire bounty hunters as well, but they kind of have their own scum that they use. They don't use these particular renditions of scum. But yeah, so Quinn, Boba Fett overall, obviously only really 50% of what he can do so far, but...
Yeah, and that's something I want to pick up on, because Boba Fett, aside from the characters that already have a version of themselves in the game, has one of the most direct comparisons that can be made to a model that's already in the game, right? Which is Daddy Django.
Yeah. Daddy Django.
And let's be honest here, Daddy Django's a lot better than his progeny.
He is, but I think obviously what we're going to see there is an era difference, right? They're going to be different eras, and it will really depend on I think obviously the one thing that Django has that Boba Fett doesn't is that I think it is called. Is it called Whipcord Launcher?
Capture Wire.
Capture Wire, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, right?
It's literally the same, gauntlet, But, being able to do diceless displacement, not so fast, force refresh and healing, Django's got a lot going for him that at the moment Boba doesn't. Boba's going to have a pretty cracked stance tree to have a chance to holding a candle to his papa.
Yeah, this is very, very true indeed. Let's talk about Dengar, who I never knew the Demolisher was his pseudonym.
It makes him sound like a really shit wrestler.
But they're not they're not Marvel characters, right? They're not the Invincible Iron Man and things.
An editorial name, does he?
He's just Dengar, right? Go to Wikipedia, he's Dengar, right? He doesn't need to be
I don't even think if you looked in the aliases section of Wikipedia, you'd find Dengar the Demolisher on there.
Do you know what, Quinn? Let's have a look.
And while you're having
Wikipedia.
a look, I'm just going to bring up the amazing Kowakian monkey lizard that's on that base. I just love that it's got its head stuck out the bars. Like, that genuinely might be my favourite thing in this box. He's just that dumb monkey lizard.
Do you know what, Quinn?
Is he called Dengar the Demolisher?
Dengar, also known as Dengar the Demolisher, was a Corellian human bounty guard operating since the early stages of the Clone Wars.
Dengar the Demolisher. That's why you try and give yourself a nickname. And it just doesn't work.
Yeah. What do they call you? Dengar, the Demolisher? It's like a school nickname, isn't it?
Yeah.
Give yourself...
Immediately, everyone turns around and goes, Dengar the Dickhead.
Dengar the Dickhead.
There you go.
So it is a real thing, but it's stupid. Just because it's real doesn't make it any less stupid, Quinn, does it? So Dengar the Dickhead, as we will now forever call him. On the trail. At the start of this unit's activation, each character in this unit may dash towards an enemy character. Perfectly fine. I like it.
It's what bounty hunters have, right?
Yeah, gets him to where he needs to be. Payday, we've already spoke about it. Basically, when somebody else reveals an order card, you spend a force, and he has that tag of choice. Whatever.
Hunters have, innit?
It's meh. Explosive regards. When this character is wounded by a melee attack, after the effect is resolved, this unit may use this ability to roll 5 attack dice. The unit that wounded this unit suffers 1 damage for each crit and hit result in the roll. Fine. Like, it's always going to cost a force.
What's the name of that perk you used to have in Call of Duty back in the day, where you dropped grenades when you died?
Oh,
it was like Dead Man's Hand or something.
I think it might be, yeah.
I think this is basically Dead Man's Hand. Like, oh, I've got a thermal detonator, mate. Boom.
Yeah. I think what would have made this better would have been, and, you know, you get to, maybe if you got an expertise, you got a shove in there as well or something like that. That'd so that cool. They take you out, but then, because it's an explosion, right? So
Force the Blast knocks them away a little bit, yeah.
Knocks them away, puts them off the point, right? That was that's my point there, but yeah, is what it is. Being underestimated has its values. When you spend force to put an allied bounty hunter unit order card in reserve, spend 1 less. Now this is real good. Really good.
He's going to end up in a lot of bounty hunter lists, I feel.
Yeah, purely because of this. We've seen it on Thrawn before, right? Where it just becomes so useful. And a lot of these bounty hunter pieces, Quinn, I don't know if you get the same feeling, but they're all a little bit niche in terms of what they do. And you only want them at specific times of the game, right? Django will quite often go into reserve for me because I'm like, it's not Django time, right? It's not time for me to win this game quite yet. So let's put Django in reserve and then wait a little bit and then try and win. So I do like that. I think it's really nice. And then
this does make me very interested in what Dengar's eras are.
Yeah,
because if he's not just Age of Rebellion, oh boy.
Well, he did fight in the Clone Wars. He has been around. He has been around since Clone Wars, as an adult, as opposed to Boba, who was a child. But it depends, doesn't it, on the snapshot that they are. You know, if they are saying these are the 4 snapshots of the characters that were on the Star Destroyer in Empire Strikes Back, then probably not. But it will be interesting. I would like to see some of them cross era.
I still think like one of the things I would have preferred for this game to be something that they took from MCP rather than made their own thing is I would have just liked an era list, like an affiliation list, rather than just having it hard printed on the card, because it just feels like you can just make things make more sense a lot more easily, rather than having to do entire card updates for it.
Yeah, that is fair. And then not just a pretty face, character in this unit had steadfast and immunity to pin, which is nice. Little immunity there is always good. Stops on the trail, he always gets to do it. It means that he's not taking any of that extra damage from characters that, put a pin on you first and then have a pin in the tree. So, yeah, it's fine. I don't know if we mentioned he's 9-2, which I think is fine. Like,
Yeah.
perfectly fine. Bounty Hunter, Mercenary, and Scoundrel, as you would expect. Feels like Mercenary and Scoundrel are kind of their scum and villainy kind of tags. Have we had a scum and villainy tag?
No.
No. So it feels like that's probably kind of put into that one, really, doesn't it? But yeah, overall, Quinn, again, it's hard to say, but I'm fairly happy with them. Let's jump on.
I'm very dependent on stances for these guys, I think.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Maximum firepower, squad park, SWP 4-6. This is going to be the General Veers with the Snowtrooper Lieutenant and then the Snowtroopers. 9-3 for Veers, which again I think is fine. We don't know what squad points he brings, and we don't know what the cost of the Stormtrooper Lieutenant is. 9-2 for him as well. But let's have a look. Veers has got have your orders. Tactic. Choose an allied Galactic Empire secondary unit or an allied Stormtrooper unit. One character in the chosen unit may dash. It's fine. Right? Yeah. It's absolutely fine. I will have results. Choose an allied Stormtrooper supporting character within 4. The chosen character may dash. Then may gain a hunker, remove one condition from itself, or make a 5-dice attack. We've seen this before, Quinn.
Tactical Network.
On Tactical Network on Kalani. It's real good. It's no less good on Veers. So...
I mean, I can't wait till we get a little bit later in this and see some real powerful supports that might just have the Stormtrooper tag.
Yeah. Prepare for a surface attack. At the end of setup, before shuffling your order deck, choose an allied Stormtrooper unit. Place the chosen unit's order card in reserve. Then each character in the chosen unit may dash. Additionally, when an allied Stormtrooper's order card is in reserve, characters in that unit add 1 die to their defense rolls. I like this, right? It's representing that tactical side of the game or of his persona. And again, it's just Stormtrooper. And as you've already mentioned, we're going to be getting some pretty good Stormtroopers. So I do like this a lot.
My immediate thought for this is just, I'll start with Death Trooper Escort in reserve. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, or any of the other ones that are coming up. Yeah, I like it, Quim. I like it a lot. I think it's really good. And then We Are the Storm. At the end of this unit's activation, this is identity. Choose an objective. Each enemy character within 2 of the chosen objective may dash. Then each enemy unit within 2 of the chosen objective suffers 3 damage. And each allied within 2 suffers 1. Yeah. Like, it's supposed to be the heavy firepower, AT-AT raining down fire.
My hope for this is that Veers has very easy access to pin.
Yeah, that would be
either
good.
From his own tree or from maybe a coordinated fire from the Snowtroopers, potentially.
That could be good. Yeah, that could be really good. Because, you don't want people moving away from this, do you?
No, you want to go, bam, get hit by 3 damage.
Yeah. It is important. It's each enemy character that may move, but it's each enemy unit that suffers damage. So if there's a supporting unit on there with both characters, they're only going to take 3 damage, not 6. Which kind of does and then also doesn't make sense. It's like, pick how you're doing it, because if you attack one, then they both get it, but you can attack each individually and they both, I don't know. But I think it's fine. 3 damage in this game that you can't negate is quite a lot. But it's not, there's not really ripple effects for this, is there, as there are with some other identities, Quinn?
No, I do like that this does less damage to your own guys, though.
Yes, yeah.
I think that is quite
good.
Important.
Yeah, and there's also in... Go on, sorry.
Just thinking, okay, never mind, it doesn't work, because it's only enemies that get to dash. I was thinking if
Yes.
everybody got to dash, if you're like activating them at the start of a struggle change, and you go, I'm picking that inactive objective now, all of my guys are going to run away from it and just get into a better position. Could have been fun.
Yeah, I also like that. Couple of things about this. First of all, it's only sorry. First of all, it's board wide, right? Good. Secondly, it's objectives, not active
Yeah.
objectives as well, which is really nice. But yeah, interesting again. You know, probably not. Don't really want him as your first pick.
No, probably not.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see
I
his
mean,
card. We'll see that access to pins.
saying that, having him as your first pick if you're going first and just going that home objective of yours, you can stand on it and take three, and then have to go and reclaim it.
Oh,
Or
if you have priority, if you've got
yeah,
yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe, because it could stop them from, you know, actually contesting that objective, couldn't it? So yeah, maybe a thing. Stormtrooper Lieutenant Quim again 9-2. Press on. Choose an allied galactic empire supporting unit. The unit may remove one condition, then dash. It's nice. The extra little bit there of removing a condition is quite nice. Dogged Assault, when another allied stormtrooper unit within 4 makes a combat action. This unit may use this ability. After all attacks have been resolved, the attacking unit may immediately make a take cover action.
yeah.
I like this.
So I do have a
I
question about this, and you might know based on the timings, but coordinated offensive on the Stormtrooper Sergeant. That's triggered at an attack. Are these, because of silly AMG rules,
yeah,
considered the same triggering event?
it's gonna be the same thing. Yeah, I believe so. I do because makes a combat action. I think is the triggering thing there. It's not after or before. I think it's makes a combat action, and the entire combat action and anything associated with it either side, it's deemed as the same thing.
Mm, don't like that.
Yeah,
It's just more silly AMG rulings.
yeah. What can you do? Commanding
Write better
presence.
rules.
Commanding presence, Queen. When an allied galactic empire trooper within 3 would gain a condition, it may instead suffer a damage. Now this is interesting because it also works when he is wounded as well because it's innate, doesn't
Yeah.
cost anything, and there are a lot of times where just taking a damage is better than
I mean, you gladly trade a damage for a strain, right?
or or an expose,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, I like it. I do like it. And then lastly, Holy Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise. Sharpshooter 1. It's a little bit of a meh thing because he can't generate his own focus without using an action. But if he's on a point, he's got nothing else to do, focus, hit, or shoot, then yeah, it's fine. So yeah, again, difficult to tell with everything else. You know, I'd like to see a lot of shoves on here. Would be nice. But yeah, we will see. Next up then, Quinn, we have got Lando Calrissian, Galactic Entrepreneur, and Lobot, Computer Liaison Officer from the What We Have Here, or What Have We Here pack. Let's talk about the models and the artwork first of all.
What have they done to Billy D. Williams? Jesus.
They right. Don't hate on me for this, everyone at home. A lot of this artwork
It's user own.
looks AI generated. I'm not. By the way, I don't believe it is. Right, there are artists that are doing it, but there's just something like derpy about it.
Like, who turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, that looks like Lando." Like everything about it looks like Lando, apart from the
face.
Horribly mutilated face.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? There's just it just looks a little bit AI generated. It's like they've taken
I
a
think it's
picture
just with this one, the face just looks a bit uncanny valley.
Well,
Like,
no,
that's not what a human face looks like.
Let me go back. Like, Dengar looks a little bit AI. Boba, amazing. Perfectly good, right? Really nice. But then Dengar's the same. And, like, Veers, fine. I mean, it's hard to mess up somebody wearing a full covering over their face. But then, yeah. And his hands look too big for his face as well. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But yeah, 9-3, he's Bespin, he's Scoundrel. It'll be interesting to see where Bespin comes in because I can't see anything on the cards. But how you doing, you old pirate? Choose any non-wounded Scoundrel within 4, which is interesting. If an allied unit was chosen, one character in that unit may dash, then this unit may remove all conditions from itself. If it does, the chosen unit gains each removed condition. So, start this unit's activation. Choose any non-wounded Scoundrel unit within 4. If an allied unit was chosen, one character in the unit may dash. Then, this unit may remove all conditions from itself. If it does, the chosen gains... Okay, so he takes everything that's on him and gives it to somebody else. That somebody else could be an ally, or it could be an enemy.
Yeah.
But it has to be non-wounded, and that's why, because of the condition thing. Interesting. Like,
yeah,
really interesting. I mean, ultimately, early state of the game, it will be he just gets to move somebody up, right? Because they're not gonna be wounded, they're not gonna have any conditions, so it doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, interesting. Hedged bets. Before you refresh your order deck, choose a unit for each readied force in your force pool. Each chosen unit removes a condition from itself. Each chosen enemy unit gains a condition of your choice.
I really like this.
It's
as way to use up that force that's still there and just going, you know what? You could just have a condition on all of your units. Screw you.
I really do like this.
Everybody's exposed.
Yeah. Yeah, and any condition as well. Like, yeah. So let me just choose a unit for... Okay, yeah, so it's choose a unit. So you got 4 force left. Choose 4 units. If 4 of them are enemy, they all gain a condition. 4 of them are allied. They can all remove one or mix and match of any.
Now this could be interesting combined with Thrawn, potentially. Because you go, oh no, Lando's dead. I refresh my deck. Oh, I've got all my force remaining. Everybody gets a condition. Shuffle everything back.
Yeah.
Oh no, you killed Thrawn. Everyone else can get another condition. Shuffle back.
And let's not forget that conditions that somebody already has are just damage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do like this. Sabak shift. Once per turn, when you reveal this unit's order card, this unit may gain a condition it does not have. If it does, refresh 2 force and shuffle this unit's order card into your deck. Then reveal the next order card in your deck. If a unit's order card is revealed, it cannot... Deary me. Oh. Interesting.
It effectively works like a Shatterpoint shuffle.
Let me go back here. Then reveal the next card in your order deck. If a unit order card is revealed, it cannot be put in reserve. So there are 2 things that are not unit order cards. The Shatterpoint
and
Battlefield Tactics. Now, if there's a character that you think would come with some bullshittery in the form of Battlefield Tactics, it would probably be Lando. So maybe that's an indication he's getting it. Who knows?
I very much doubt that based on what we've seen on his card.
I mean, he's got a lot on his card,
It's
right?
already enough without battle tactics, I feel.
But yeah, that's, I mean, a way
But
of being
also,
able
there's nothing on his card that says you bring a battle tactic, and everyone else who brings a battle tactic says that.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it's written on his. Yeah, good point. Good point. Interesting. You know, being able to do a force refresh, for essentially just receiving a condition, it's pretty darn good.
I mean, then he goes anyway, and he just gives his condition to an enemy. If
Well,
you've got a scoundrel, obviously.
if you've got a scoundrel, so yeah, or just one of your own characters, right? Like Lobot, take this for me. Feels pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Conflicting responsibilities, Quinn. At the end of setup, choose one of the following. I've got my own problems. You're galactic. This deal's getting worse all the time. You are rebel. And then additionally, each time you reveal an order card, you may choose an allied scoundrel unit. If you do, the chosen unit gains another tag this unit has until the end of the turn. So
I love this.
you choose Empire or Galactic, and then essentially
Empire or Galactic?
Empire or Galactic. Galactic,
No.
Empire or Rebel Alliance,
There we
dear me. And then essentially any other character you bring with you that is a scoundrel can also have Galactic Empire or Rebel Alliance.
I really like this from a synergy standpoint.
Real good.
Yeah.
Real good. Wondering if there's a way of being able to bring Han and Chewie, who are scoundrels, and making them rebels could be quite a good thing, or yeah, some pretty cool stuff there. So yeah, interesting, Quinn. Feels very much like he's not going to have a lot on his stance card in terms of damage output.
We'll see.
Because of what he's doing, but yeah.
Maybe his damage comes in the form of mostly conditions early in the tree. So
That'd be
then,
quite cool.
if he's given someone a bunch of conditions already, that just ramps up the damage that he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. Lobot, Computer Liaison Officer, 8-2, Best Spin Scoundrel, Detain. At the start of this unit's activation, choose an allied scoundrel character. The chosen character may dash. Then choose an enemy character within 3 of that allied character. The chosen character gains pin or disarm. So very much leaning into this, dishing out all of these condition tokens to really hamper your opponent.
Lando's box is just Shatterpoint Hydra, isn't it?
I think it might be.
Do I have to become do I have to become a Lando player
Have you
now?
found like the box that you really don't want to like because you don't like Lando, but
I mean, I like Lando. I don't like the rest of them.
But yeah, seems pretty good. Security network. Choose another allied scoundrel. Secondary character within 4 or an allied scoundrel supporting character within 4. Dash, 5 dice attack, targeting enemy character that is contesting an active objective. Tactical network-ish.
I mean, it's pretty good. It can work on a secondary.
It's pretty damn good.
Depending on how killy Boba is.
Yep, indeed. Battlefield calculations. During another allied's activation, when one or more characters in that unit end, basically a move within 2, but not a move because it doesn't include pushes and things. But you know, this unit may use this ability. The activating unit immediately makes a focus action. This is really good.
It's reverse apes together strong.
This is really good, Quinn.
Yeah. I mean, the next thing's even better.
Also the fact that it is not a move action.
Yes,
well.
Potentially Boba gets his jump from his tactic, gets within range of Lobot, gets the focus, shoots somebody in the face, has an action spare. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good, yeah. And then lockdown. While this unit is not wounded, your opponent cannot remove your control token from an objective that one or more characters in this unit are contesting.
Fuck you, Ezra.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's pretty good.
I like the idea of him being stood like 3 elevation levels below an objective, just like sat in a corner. It's like, yeah, no, it's doing fine up there.
Now, what will be even more interesting is if this guy has access to dashes on his defensive tree. So just getting back onto it and stuff could be very interesting. These two together, Quinn, definitely up my intrigue level in this pack, and really makes me think that starting to build a scoundrel focus list is going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
It's already viable in the game at the minute because you can do Cad Bane's box with Django subbed out and the Mando box, right?
Yeah.
And like I've played against that a couple of times now. It's a pretty strong list.
Do you know what? Maul with these guys, right? Hear me out. Hear me out. Give him a strain. He's gonna just roll more dice more early. Like, just murder everything.
That sounds like a great way to have a dead Maul.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it sounds like fun. Yeah, I'm quite intrigued, Quinn, with this box. I like them more than I thought I was going to. And again, I like that we're seeing different things in the game already, as opposed to just more of the same, which is pretty good. What the hell's this, Quinn? Yes,
it's
competition.
The hand of a horrible man.
The hand of a horrible man. It is this. In fact, it's this hand. Yep, competition time, guys. If you want to be with a chance to win yourself a $25 Amazon gift card, you need to go to the community post that was done a couple of days back and let me know, what am I painting? Now,
I know.
Just to clarify, this is not necessarily a Shatterpoint model. It could also be an MCP model as well. So
you got an early copy of Tigra off AMG?
I got an early... Well, we already know that's a lie, don't we? Because I don't get an early copy of anything. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section below what you think I was painting when I was painting this up. And then at the end of July, I will do an announcement. Everyone who got the answer right, I will then pick one at random and you will win yourself a $25 Amazon gift card to put towards your next Shatterpoint MCP model, or indeed just to buy Haribo from Amazon. Quinn, let's move on to some just models now. Okay, so some, no cards. Let's talk about Wisdom of the Council. Oh, 8 lightsabers is becoming very, very achievable very quickly, Quinn, almost, isn't it?
You can do at least 9. No,
not
you can do at least 10.
Not including Grievous.
You had Grievous, you had Maul, and then you have this without Kiadi-Mundi.
So yeah, Wisdom of the Council. We've got Kiadi-Mundi, who will be the primary in this pack. And then Shaq T.
He wasn't born yet.
He wasn't born yet, was he? And then Shaq T, who will be a secondary, but confirmed, the first secondary in the game to bring Force.
This is a thing that I thought they were going to implement as early as Aura Sing. Like, I'm glad they're finally getting it done.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous looking pack. We have head options for the
Rhodian
head, and is it just the Rhodian we have?
It's just the Rhodian, not the Ithorian.
Because the Ithorian, I was like, I'm surely leg options as well,
and hand options, and
hand, yeah. It's a brand new sculpt, basically, isn't it? But I think the Rhodian, you can just give them a human head, can't you?
I think you can also make them a Zabrak, from what I remember.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Why anyone would want to swap the other one out anyway, I don't know.
That Shaq T model is gorgeous.
It's really good, isn't it? It's really nice.
Could care less about old bloody Longhead, but
I still like the pose. I think it's a really nice. Do you know what? I am just looking at my Kanan sculpt.
It's very static, isn't it?
Very similar as well. Like,
also, you know what you have to do with your Kiadi-Mundi model?
Go on.
You have to give him his canonical green lightsaber.
His canonical green lightsaber, yes.
Because indeed. Star Wars has never made a mistake before. It only happens when Disney do it.
True. But yeah, interesting, Quinn. Obviously, this is interesting because of the fact that, first secondary in the game. that is bringing us Force, and the first supports in the game. First supports in the game that are going to be Force users. I'm just trying to think. And
No.
Night Sisters Force users. They may very
We
well
have
be.
Inquisitors, mate.
Oh yeah, and them as well. Yeah.
Here's a question for you.
Go ahead.
Points prediction. What are you thinking?
3-4-7.
Oh. I think 8-5-3. Because I don't think you can have a secondary bringing Force for 4.
Not without making them
just
useless.
a little bit exactly, and I don't want Shakti to be absolutely useless.
5 is a difficult number.
I like that it's a difficult number, though.
But we do have plenty of 3s for them. We've got halves, we've got 5-0 first. I could see it. I could definitely see it. I think he is either 7 or 8. He's a member of the...
I don't think Yadimundi's worth 7.
He's a member of the council, right?
Okay, so is Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan would clap him.
Not that version of Obi-Wan.
That version of Obi-Wan is still a member of the council. He doesn't get upgraded to the council like in Revenge of the Sith. He's been on the council since the onset of the war, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like he's been on the council for a long... Well, because it was the moment that Anakin became a knight that he became a master, and then he gets appointed to the council during the war, I think.
But he's not a grandmaster, is he, Obi-Wan?
Well, there's only 2 grandmasters.
Maul, Mace and...
Mace and Yoda are
Mace
the 2
and Yoda.
grandmasters.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe 8. I mean, look, Luminara level feels about right. Like, as in point, as in comparing them as point cost.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I really want him to just be like a really selfish bastard, because that's what he is.
Yeah.
He's just an arsehole. I hate him.
Let's flash forward in time then, Quinn, and go to, I still think, one of the most underrated Star Wars movies that there ever has been. Rogue One, all the way squad pack.
I find it hilarious that you think Rogue One is underrated.
I think a lot of people...
It is universally, like, most people's favourite Star Wars film.
Oh, no, I think a lot of people
Or at the very least, it is, like, almost always second on everybody's list.
It's so
and I don't
good,
think that means underrated by any means.
I still think it's fairly underrated. We've got Andor.
You also think, like, that the originals are better than everything else. So, your opinion's null and void.
Apart from one of them. Cassian Andor, K2SI, and then K2SI. Oh God, KSI. K2SO.
He's in Shatterpoint. What? Oh my God, he's got a prime can.
Speed's in there. Logan Paul's coming in.
Oh my God, it's Randall.
Do you know what? I may have to 3D print a prime bottle now and put it in his hand. K2SO, right? That's correct. There we go.
You have to put the prime bottle in his hand, like, when he rescues Jin, he goes, "Congratulations, you are being rescued. Just congratulations, you are being hydrated."
Stay hydrated. And then I believe Rebel Pathfinders.
Pathfinders, I believe, is what these are. Yeah.
I like them. I think they look
cool.
More...
I'm not so sure about the Cassian pose.
I think I also think his face is a little derpy, but I think as we know...
I mean, we don't have a particularly big, like, close-up view of it, and also it's definitely the paint job, let's be honest.
Yeah. I don't know, it's a good paint job, but just the face
I'm more curious to see how, like, well the art resembles him.
Yeah.
Like, also, we have another Lando and Eddie Murphy situation.
Yeah. Also, Rebel Pathfinder on the left, gone a bit heavy on the Botox. It looks like...
Once again, I think that's just a thing.
Zero facial expression. Like, I can't smile.
For some reason, like, the big studio's just really bad at painting female faces.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. Well, yeah.
This guy's cool, though. I do like the paint job on this guy.
He's got a funny hat.
And do you know what, Quinn? We've got a lot of time for funny hats. Sticking on Rogue One, Quinn. Oh! Deploy the garrison.
Are
You
we
stand
blind?
here amongst my achievement. Yeah.
So good.
Direct to Krennic.
This is exactly what I asked for as well, by the way.
It is. It is. So
Pretty
let's break the pack down, Quinn, because you're probably looking at it going, not you, but there's a lot of models in there. So what we have in here is Krennic, who is going to be the primary. We then have a Death Trooper of some sort, Death Trooper Commander maybe, or whatever it's going to be.
Sergeant, I'd go for potentially.
Who I believe is the character on the. I think
he's the innermost Dark Trooper because he's got the pauldron on the right shoulder.
Yeah, so it's the one in the middle, isn't it? Essentially. Yeah. Then we have 2 support choice options: Death Troopers or Shore Troopers.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, Quinn, those Shore Trooper models in particular not only look amazing, but have been painted up phenomenally well.
Yeah, I do believe that technically for the people that are really anal about like armor markings, these are actually like Shore Trooper commanders or something. So
it's
not
something
right,
like
but who
that.
cares? They look cool.
Yeah, really cool. My only gripe, Quinn, is I would have loved to have seen a slightly different base that was the sand, but then with the water coming in. Would have been my only thing, and it may be something I do on the base far to the right. But yeah, like these a lot, Quinn. Empire getting some really good toys, eh? More stormtroopers.
We know who AMG's favourite child is, right?
Yeah. More models with a stormtrooper tag.
Another model with the officer tag, potentially. That would make 3 now.
Yeah, potentially. So, yeah, obviously we have no idea what they do or anything like that, but really like it. I'd imagine that you're going to have a choice in the support units, one of them a lot more offensive, maybe the other one a little bit more recon-y, sort of, type of stuff. But, yeah, I think they're pretty good. I like the models. More Death Troopers. That means I can put 4 on the field now. I like this a lot, Quinn. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Points prediction?
Well, I mean, the supports are going to have the same cost, so I'm going with 4 on that. Because Shore Troopers aren't going to be 5 if Dark Troopers aren't 5.
Yeah.
Which then leaves, Krennic and the Sergeant. Krennic, I could see being either 8 or 9. Depends on what they want to do with him.
I'd love the Sergeant to be 5.
Yeah.
I'd really like him to be very good 5. But yeah, we will see. We will see. Sticking with Rogue One then, Quinn, we do have some renders now. This is Rogue One. Cool. What like, how is this not called I am one with the Force and the Force is one with me squad pack? Like,
or even just like :Rogue One.
Yeah, or even like the I Rebel squad pack. Like, because is it even said? Is it a line? This is Rogue One.
They probably on comms go, "This is Rogue One," like something stupid like that.
Yeah. They look good. Like, the models look good.
I don't know why the hell Bodhi Rook is in there.
It gets his cool backpack though, right?
Oh, great.
Obviously,
Bodhi Rook was everybody's favourite character in that film.
Everyone's favourite, yeah. Jyn Erso, obviously the primary. What are you saying for secondary and support?
I'm hoping that this is a single secondary 2 support box. So in terms of 2 separate units. Because I'd like the option to just not bother with Bodhi Rook, because he's a bit whack.
So you think this could be a 3-person squad? Is what?
I think this could be there could be 4 units in this box, 1 for each of the models. So you've got Jyn primary. I want Baze as the secondary because Baze is very shooty. He's a very, he's kind of Paz Vizsla territory, right? And then I want Chirrut Imwe is his own, like just his own compartmentalized, one with forces with him. Doesn't have to be attached to Baze necessarily, but you run the two together, you get some bonuses potentially. And then Bodhi just being like, if you don't want to play Chirrut, you're an idiot, but you can have Bodhi.
How about this? First ever 2-unit secondary in the game.
That'd be very tricky to pull off.
But they have a little thing on their card that states you can only run single unit support units or single character support units, something like that.
Then you just take Fifth Brother, and then you end up with just more models than you should have.
It would be cool, but I don't think they're going to go down that route. I think Chirrut's probably the support, right, with the other guy.
Yeah, I mean, they did mention that he does have his laser crossbow that he takes down the tie with. I mean, I think in the actual stream, shit completely forgot he takes down a tie with it in the film.
Yeah, he's like, even though he didn't use it, and everyone was like, he fucking used it.
He took down a bloody TIE fighter is what he did with it.
But yeah, I think the pack looks cool. Again, we don't know anything about it, so it's hard to speculate. The next one, though, Quinn, I am very much looking forward to. Just all clone troopers on the board, you say? Delta Squad form up.
I feel those people, all the people that painted commandos up as Delta Squad.
I was just gonna say, Delta Squad, pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Again, we have no idea what they do. We know that they're going to have the Clone Trooper tag, and we know that they're going to have the Galactic Republic tag, because that's where they are. Thoughts on these guys, Quinn?
I'm really glad they made it into the game.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Because am I right in saying these originally came from a computer game, right? That's where they originated
they're from the Republic Commando
Commando game. Yeah.
Which I've never actually played because I am, funnily enough, too young for it. But
it's like an early 2000s game, though, isn't it? It's like real old.
It's kind of the wave of Star Wars games that came before the original Battlefronts, I think. Which is when I started, getting into Star Wars games. Yeah, I think they're
models look cool. I mean, as soon as I saw these, Quinn, in my head, I'm just thinking, like, Bad Batch Delta Squad potential is just crazily good.
Just full Spec Ops,
yeah, absolutely. So do like those a lot. And then, Quinn, we actually were on a phone call the other day, weren't we? We were talking spitballing, like, what are we going to get? Like, we've got to see some Separatists, because it's been so long. We've essentially had not essentially. We've had 2 boxes since release, and they were like box 3 and 5 or something like that. And we talked about, could we get some Geonosians? Could we get some Droidekas? And what we got, Quinn, was so left field.
I mean, I called it.
But you called it. But did you really think it? Because
it's not the thing I wanted, but I called it.
Terror from Below. It's not Shark Boy. What's his real name?
Rift Hansen.
And then the Aqua Droids. And apparently these things are huge. Because they're on a medium base, or a large base. We don't have medium bases, but yeah, people may need to start rethinking about the height of their terrain if these guys are that high. These guys.
I mean,
cool,
they're not going to be taller than Grievous. Grievous is up on that big old statue.
Yeah,
not going to be taller than Grievous.
Yeah, maybe.
I hope they're not taller than Grievous, because otherwise they're not going to fit in my box.
Well, there is that as well. These are cool. Obviously, these come from the Clone Wars TV show, where there was I believe the Civil War on Mon Cal Because
Yeah,
these
between the Mon
are
Calamari and the Quarian, the
yeah
Quarian guy in the middle there, that's what his species is called, for anyone wondering. The Squid Peoples.
squid peoples with his little trident. I've got a little trident.
I mean, we did have that quite humorous little B plot in The Mandalorian, I think it was, at one point, with the Mon Cal prince and the Quarian
Oh yeah, I
on the
forgot
ship.
about that one.
Like going
Yeah,
for
that
Romeo
was
and Juliet.
that was pretty funny. But yeah, I think look, we need more separatists, right? We spoke about this before, Quinn. They're being left behind. This with another pack could really help.
I want my cyborg tarantula AMG. Give me trench.
So yeah, really happy with them. I did say, Quinn, they look a little bit Tau. These aqua droids.
Yeah, I think once you see them painted, they'll look a lot less
Oh
Tau.
yeah, absolutely. And look like they've got slightly bigger connection points than the B1s, which I'm sure some people will be happy about. Quick look then, Quinn, at the timeline. So October, we've got Good Soliders follow orders. Then in November, we get 4 packs. What have we here? Maximum firepower. We don't need their scum, and this is the way. So it means we get some bounty hunters before Christmas, Quinn, which is nice.
Feels
Or
like
even
potentially this is the way should have been October, but there's been some supply line stuff maybe.
I would imagine so.
Just because it
Yeah.
is, it's the odd one out in that grouping because the rest are all from Empire Strikes Back, right?
What else have we had that hasn't come out yet that has been announced? Anything?
We've got Thrawn and the New Hope box, but that's coming out next month in August. So,
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so
I mean, we've got nothing for September.
well, and that's what I'm thinking. A little gap in there for September. Like, ooh, what's because they always do this, right? They save some for the databank downloads because they want the databank downloads to hit, and then a month later you can go buy them, right? Because it sort of keeps up the hype, doesn't it? And then next year we've got Wisdom of the Council requesting your surrender. That's going to be Q1. Expect that to be back end of January, beginning of February-ish.
Which one was requesting your surrender?
None of them.
What?
Oh. Quinn,
Yeah.
who requests somebody's surrender?
Requesting your surrender.
Then it's treason.
Wait.
Is this
Wait.
Palpatine? What else can you think of?
Is that what he says? Does he request his surrender?
I mean, they turn up wanting him to surrender to arrest him, right?
Wait.
We're going to take a moment. Okay, guys, we've got to what it is. We've already seen it. It's not anything exciting. Well, it is exciting, Quinn. Do you remember who it is?
No.
It's got a little Moncal Padawan that then became a Jedi in the box.
Oh, the thing you forgot to put in the slideshow. Cool.
Well, no, it's Kit Fisto, but it wasn't. They didn't show it in this.
No, they did because we learned that Phil was in it. I was definitely in this.
Oh yes. Oh,
Yeah,
we've missed.
you've just missed a slide.
I just missed a slide, guys. There we go.
You got me excited then. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna
I
get
got
serious.
so excited then.
Uh-huh.
And then last up, Quinn, we have got requesting your surrender squad pack. This is not. This is. I'm so disappointed, Quinn. I'm doing it wrong. I'm happy, but I'm so disappointed. Yeah, Yes, I messed up. I missed this out of the slide deck. So when we did look at it in the timeline, we were jumping to all sorts of conclusions, weren't we? Yes, we have got Kit Fisto, who is in a pose I'm not a huge fan of, I don't think.
I wanted the like hands out like that, and then the two lightsabers.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what the horns are. Like, what is he on?
Oh,
Like,
it's the thing he kills in the episode. Like, Bruce has
okay.
got like a weird monster in his lair, and that's the thing he kills.
Okay, okay. And then the Mon Cal Padawan turned Jedi, whose name I can never remember.
Nadaveb.
Nadaveb, yeah, who was pretty cool. Do you know what? It's just ever so subtle, but I really like his pose. Like,
Yeah.
I do like it. And how could we forget, Quinn? Clone Commander Phil, spelt with an F. Swedish Trolls, very happy about that one. You did a little bit of looking up, Quinn. 303rd, I think you said.
303rd, apparently. Yeah, that could be bollocks.
That's all. They're all phase 1, though, right? Are they phase 1 or phase?
Yeah, they're all phase 1 armor.
1.
Yeah,
Yeah, so all
it's
phase
from
1
an early
armor.
episode of Clone Wars.
Yeah. Will they make the same mistake? Who knows?
If they learn from their mistake, I think it makes Pods even worse.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? I quite like these models overall.
Yeah.
The clone running looks a little like, maybe it's just the angle that he's at that makes him look like he's holding his gun like far too close. I do like the one on the left though. That looks really cool.
Yeah,
Sort
the
of
kneeling one, right?
Stood down, kneeling and shooting. Yeah. And with that, let's take a look at the timeline and jump to where we were. So Q2 onwards, we've then got Deploy the Garrison, all the way, Terror from Below, Delta Squad form up, and this is Rogue One. I would be shocked if with the This is Rogue One, they'll pair them all together, right? So we'll get all the Rogue One stuff together and whatever else. So yeah, and obviously, as it always says, Quinn, non-exhaustive. So there will be more stuff before the end of this year, and there will be more stuff coming in. You know, generally we get 3 release waves every quarter, so 1 per month. The exception to that is December and January usually. So expect to see, a few more on here, but they want to save some stuff. Overall, Quinn, quite a lot of exciting stuff coming in Shatterpoint.
Yeah, honestly, I think the cards were the least interesting thing for me there.
Yeah, because we didn't really get to see a lot of them,
I mean,
did we?
I like Mandos probably as much as the next guy, but I'm not in love with them like some people seem to be. Like, they're a cool thing in Star Wars. They're not my thing in Star Wars. My thing in Star Wars is clones, unfortunately for me in this game.
Well, and you've got some more clones, right?
I've got some more clones,
galactic...
but they're not the clones I like. They're the Spec Ops clones. They're the weird other clones. I like boots on the ground clones.
Well, you got your 303rd coming, all right? With Phil.
Yeah, like, which aren't going to make sense with most of the other stuff in the game because they're in Phase 1 armor, but, you know.
Hey, look, at least we're not Legion and we have different clones now, rather than just generic clone. They've got rid of Phase 1 and Phase 2s, haven't they? So,
oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall, fairly happy. I think they've put a little bit of something in there for everyone. You would hope that there will be another Separatist squad pack released alongside the one that we've got.
They have to be holding Trench, like, back.
Yeah.
Because, like, of all of the possibilities, I think Trench is the most likely now.
Yeah, and what do you think he'll come with? What do you
he's got to come with commando droids. Like, commando droids are... I know people love droidicas. Droidicas are... Once again, I think we're a bit too young for the droidica hype. They also... like Phantom Menace thing. They're not really...
They also cause a little bit of a problem for this game thematically, right?
Yeah.
Because they're a little bit like the thing from RoboCop that can't do stairs.
They're like without the jet thrusters, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm hyped for it, Quinn. Really looking forward to it. Shatterpoint just keeps delivering at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With new stuff keeping us interested. So, yeah, we are going to be doing a separate video on the missions, the new key missions, key objectives, whatever they're called. If you are interested in checking them out, they are already in the mod, so go check that out as well. We're going to leave it there. I want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for your support. It really, really does help. And if you want to support us from as little as £1 a month, you can do so. Link down in the description below, or you can become a YouTube member. But as normal, you don't need to do either of those things. Just simply commenting, liking, subscribing. All really, really helps. None of our content is ever behind a paywall. Big shout out to Loyalist Games, sponsor of the channel. We've got our team event happening on the 5th of October. So if you want to put a team together to go up against 9 other teams, then reach out to me on Discord or Facebook. Right now, as recording this video, we have 1 ticket left. Somebody had it reserved, but the time has passed. So get in quick, right? If you wanna be involved in that. So yeah, join the Discord. Usual stuff on there. And as always, guys, it leaves me just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the force be with you.
3 words: cyborg, tarantula, man.